Ya, depan nikah. Eh? Hmm. ಪಿಂಕಾಣೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಪಿಂಕಾಣ್ ಪಿಂಕಾಣ್ ತಿರ್ಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋದಂತ ನೋಡಿ. ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದಂಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸೆಕೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೆನಪಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವಲ್ಲ ಹಂಗೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಚಳಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಎಸಿ ಯಾಕೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಾಲಿದ್ರೆ ಚಳಿ. ಇತ್ತು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ದಾದಾ ಹೋಗಂಚು ತಿಂದು ಬಂದಿದ್ದ 2 ಕಾಳು. ಆಗೋದು ಸಾಟರ್ಡೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸಂಡೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದೇ ಶನಿವಾರ ಹೋಗ್ತು. ಹಾ ಶನಿವಾರ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬರ್ತೇನೆ. 4 ಜನ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಓಕೆ. ಬಿಸಿಲಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 4 ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ಯಾ ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ
Wow, you look like a man. Huh? Belt ಹಾಕಬೇಕು. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ. Huh? We're going. Now. What is it? Yeah, drink.
ಈಗ ತಿಂದ್ ನೋಡಲ್ಲ ತಿಂದ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಕಳ್ಸಲ್ಲ. ವಾಪಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ
ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಗಮನಿಸಿ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯ ರಸ್ತೆ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವ ರೈಲು ಒಂದನೇ ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅನ್ನು ಪ್ರವೇಶಿಸಲಿದೆ.
ಬೇಗ ಬಿಡಬೇಕು ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮೊದಲು
ರೈಲು ಹತ್ತುವ ಮುನ್ನ ಅಂಕಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗಮನ
6 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕು ಟಾರ್ಗೆಟ್ ಟಾರ್ಗೆಟ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ 12 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ರೀಚ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೇಡ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ದೂರ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸಿವ್ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ನೋಡಿ ನಮ್ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ ಕಾರ್ತಿಕ್ ಬರ್ತಾರಂದ್ರೆ ಬರ್ಲಿ, ಬಂದು ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಉಳ್ಕೋತಾರಂದ್ರೆ ಉಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಅಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಉಳ್ಕೋತಾರಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ವಾರ ಹೋಗಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಹೋಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಕಾರ್ತಿಕ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು. ಏನಾರ ಹೋಗಿ ಒಂದು ವಾರ ಉಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಬರ್ತಾರಂದ್ರೆ ಬರ್ಲಿ. ಅಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಹ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪಂಕ್ತಿಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪಂಕ್ತಿಗೆ ತಿಂದು ಹೊರಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಇಲ್ಲದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಲೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನನಗೆ ಬೇಗ ಹೋಗೋದು ತಿಂಡಿಗೆ. ಹ? ಅಲ್ಲ, ತಿಂಡಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡೋಣ. ತಿಂಡಿ ಇರುವುದು ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ. ಈ ಮನೇಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಮ್ಮ ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕುತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಂದ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಡ್ರೈವರ್ ಇಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಿಂಡಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡೋಣ. ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ಒಂದು 7:30 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟು 9 ಗಂಟೆ ಒಳಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ತಿಂಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ ಲೆಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ. ಬಾ ಬಲ ಬಾ ಬಾ ಬಾ. ಹಂಗೆ ಮಾಡಿ ತಿಂಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಬಲ.
A very good morning, everyone. I am Ruchitha. I hope you all had a wonderful Diwali. From lights to light, we should dive into the pedigree. Okay.
ఇంకా identify.
So pedigree, as we all know, it's a basics of the genetics. So it's an important tool to trace the history of the traits across the generation. So coming to the history of the pedigree.
YouTube day. Hold on.
Pedigree ತಗೊಂಡು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಎಷ್ಟು ತಲೆನೋವು. ಏನು ನಿಮ್ದು ತಾಯಿಗೂ ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಅವ್ರ ಅಜ್ಜಿಗೆ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋದು ಈಗ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕಿಡ್ನಿ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇತ್ತು, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸತ್ರು ಗೊತ್ತಾ?
So why do you think I'm showing this picture of crane here? Any guesses?
Any
This
guesses?
is something related to the history of the pedigree.
Tell something. If you keep mom only, when I ask also, keep mom, then pat.
ನಾವು ಚೆನ್ನೈಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ
Which art was first made for
ತಳ್ಳಿದ್ದಲ್ಲಿ
That's a good guess.
Yeah.
But not.
So the word pedigree comes from the French word meaning the foot of the crane. So that is why it is named as pedigree. Old manuscripts used a forked sign to represent the ancestry, and it resembles a bird's footprint. So what is pedigree? Pedigree is a graphical depiction of family tree using standard symbols. So it helps in documenting the family history and to identify the pattern of inheritance, thereby coming to the diagnosis, and also helps in the genetic counseling. So what are the steps? Steps of pedigree analysis. The first thing is to identify the traits in the family, and then
Very important here. Well, let's focus here. First, you have to identify the traits, which means what? You have to ask, you should know what you are looking for while taking the pedigree. So when there is a problem, you should, let's say you're taking a pedigree for CTV. Okay. So you should understand, in the fetus you are taking for CTV. In the fetus it is presented as CTV, but we are looking for problems which can manifest not only a CTV but some other manifestation, say crippled, arthrogryposis, yes, neuromuscular disorder. So in that way you should ask. Understood? don't put plain questions like anybody not well, like that. They would definitely say no. Anybody, if you are dealing with severe diseases, then you should also ask anybody died in childhood, infancy. Okay.
The next is to collect the detailed family history, like as Sir told. So, age at the diagnosis of the proband, and any history of early death in the family, and the reason for it. Everything has to be asked for. And the third point is to analyze the pedigree to identify the inheritance pattern and to interpret the data for the genetic counseling implications. And then, with all this information with us, then we'll go for a genetic counseling, discuss the findings with the families regarding the risk of transmission and the options for testing and further management.
For 3, 4, and 5, we need the pedigree chart. That's important. Okay.
So, this is an article by Robin L. et al., which serves as a background for the pedigree symbols. This was given in 1995 and revised in 2022.
Article says 2008.
Yes, sir. One more revision, 22.
Sure.
So these are the symbols. You all must be knowing about these symbols. Let me just walk you through this quickly. So square indicates male, circle indicates female, whereas when the sex is unspecified, then we draw a diamond. A square with a number inside indicates the number of children. Like for example, here it's 3 inside the square. That means there are 3 male children and 2 female children. When we don't want to extend the pedigree, we can just write 3 male children. And when it's shaded, of course, it is unaffected. So when there are multiple segments shaded, that means there are different phenotypes, and a legend has to be given here to us. This shaded area means what, and what does this shaded area indicate?
That means you can put more than one disease manifestations for the same person. They may be affected by 2 different diseases, or they may have 2 different components of the same disease. Okay. We know some of the diseases will manifest as bone but not heart, heart but not bone. No. So you can put that, but you have to explain it in the legend also.
So
hold on. So previously, that half shading used to be considered as the symbol for carrier. Okay, but not anymore.
So now we use the symbol, a dot inside the circle or a square, which is obligate carrier, will not manifest the disease. The deceased individual is indicated by a line across the symbol, whether it's male or female. So coming to abortions, it's indicated by triangle. If it's
Termination
is when there is a line across it. It's termination, and when it's affected, it will be shaded. When it's non-affected, it will be unshaded.
Spontaneous abortion.
Spontaneous abortion is when there's no line across. So if it's affected, then it will be shaded. If it's just a normal spontaneous abortion, it's shaded. So relationships will go in the next slide. Coming to this one, so this is a 2-generation pedigree showing here. And coming to the numbering of the individuals in the pedigree, like this is a first generation, and this male will be numbered as 1, and this female will be numbered as 2. Similarly, in the second generation, his son will be numbered as 1, daughter as 2, and the other daughter as 3.
No. So when you say like that, the first born will be the leftmost extreme. Then you keep on putting the next offsprings.
So proband is indicated by the symbol. Affected proband will always be affected. So that is how we differentiate proband from the consultant. So consultant may be affected or may not be affected. He is the one who is seeking genetic counseling.
So it may be the proband or maybe a relative of the proband. That is one who seeks the consultation. Proband, what is the symbol? That arrow.
Arrow.
Hmm.
So arrow is there both in proband as well as consultant, sir. When proband affected individual will be a proband.
Yes, yes.
When there is no offspring, then it is indicated like this, a line, horizontal line. And when you know the cause for not having offspring, like for example, they might have undergone tubectomy or vasectomy, so that has to be entered here. So when there is infertility, then there'll be a double line, which I'll be showing in the next slide. So when there are multiple unions, that is indicated by a two relationships line.
You can also put the relationship on this side also.
Yes.
So each side you can have one line. Now in that stillbirth, show the stillbirth.
Stillbirth is
Now in that middle column, you explain everything. We'll come back. Start from the top.
slide.
Huh?
There's a next slide for relationships.
All these are also there.
Yes, sir.
All this middle column full.
Except for stillbirth.
Ah.
Stillbirth, so you draw a line across and mention it as SB. That indicates a stillbirth. If it's male, then square. If it's a female, circle. And if the sex is unspecified, then diamond with a legend below, that is SB, stillbirth. So coming to the relationships, so this line indicates a union. And then when there is a double line, it indicates it's a consanguineous marriage. When there is a break in the relationship line, it means it's separated.
So while taking genetic pedigree, you shouldn't confuse the term marriage. It's mating. They beget something out of that. Okay? The marriage is not in the social sense.
So when the biological parents are known, we can depict like this. When the biological parents are unknown, there should be a question mark, since we don't know the biological parents.
Put more effort now.
Yes. Coming to the twins, twins is indicated by a line of descent is divided and will based on the gender, you can draw it as a circle or a square.
No.
And the zygosity.
No, hold on. So you have to tell what is the line of descent then.
Yes.
So this is line of
Relationship line.
yes. Then this one line of descent.
descent.
Okay. If you have a twins, so from the beginning you can fork it, or you can bring it as a single and then fork it.
So zygosity is indicated by a horizontal line connecting these two. So when there is an horizontal line connecting these two, it indicates it's a monozygotic twin. When there is no line here, then it means a dizygotic twin. When we don't know the zygosity, then a question mark has to be written. Like I told you before, when there is no offspring, then a single line and the cause can be written over there. And when it's an infertility, a double line has to be entered. And the reason for infertility can also be mentioned, like in this case, it's azoospermia. So adoption.
It's a very important concept. Okay, go back. Back. Have we missed anything? So look here, there is a difference in the way the monozygotic twins have been marked here versus the next one. So these are variations which you can adopt. Here the line is drawn between the two individuals, whereas in the next one it was drawn between the forked lines, isn't it? So you can do that. Adoption.
So adoption is indicated by a square bracket. When they're adopted in, we indicate with a dotted line. When it's adopted out, by a solid line. So coming to assisted reproductive scenarios, so when there is a sperm donation, Then a square with a D inside it will indicate that as a sperm donor, and ovum donation is by a circle inside a D in it. So this will indicate it's an ovum donation, and when the pregnancy is through surrogate, so then a female with the S inside indicates that it is a surrogate mother. And surrogate ovum donation is same like this. A circle inside it is mentioned as D.
Okay, so there is some little bit of information or detail we have to go through here. So let's say the situation IUID. So from her line and the donor should come. Okay, but this mating is there. If it's a ovum donation, but it's the couple who are going to carry it. Okay, that is, this lady is carrying it. Then the descent comes from here, and then the donation happens here. Yes. This and this slight difference is there. Here also the donation happens for the egg, but it's not carried here. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Donor sperm and as well as the
No, here it's the egg.
Oh, sorry.
Donor is the egg, but it is a surrogate also.
So
How does it work out? So it is a so it is like a IUID if they were into a relationship, but then the progeny goes to this couple. She is only a surrogate. So this is a very complicated situation now. Surrogate mother we can understand. So their offspring, but then just the surrogate carries the child and then they get the child. But here there is a different. So this and this little bit different is there, no? Okay.
So the pedigree line that we discussed before, a male by indicated by a square and a female by a circle, and the mating is this line is called as relationship line, and this is the line of descent. And then they have a male child, female child, and an abortion. So this line is a sibship line, and this line is an individual line. So what should we remember when we draw a pedigree line? Male partners should be to the left of the female partner, siblings from the left to right in the order of their birth, and always start with the proband or consultant. And there should be a key below the affected individual or like an age of the individual or the diagnosis. So the such keys should be mentioned in the pedigree.
Age at diagnosis,
diagnosis.
very important. Today, age at diagnosis or age at demise.
Yes. So now, like how she has all her ingredients ready to cook, we also have our symbols to build a pedigree tree. So let's see a example how to draw a pedigree. So we have a
Hold on, somebody is circumcised on.
So this is just an example to show how to draw a pedigree. Let's say a couple, Mrs. X and Mr. Y, has come for genetic counseling. Their firstborn is Ram, who is 5-year-old, has a global developmental delay. So he has a brother, Sham, who is aged 2 years and apparently healthy. Mrs. X has 2 healthy siblings, each with 2 apparently healthy children. Her parents are a non-consanguineous couple. Ram's maternal grandmother has a sister and she has 2 healthy children. Maternal grandfather's brother has 1 healthy son. So Mr. Y has 1 brother who is married and has an healthy son. Ram's paternal grandmother has a brother. He has a healthy son, and Ram's paternal grandfather has a sister who have a healthy daughter and son. So if I read like this, so all of us will be like her, will be confused. This is what happens when we start taking a pedigree in initial days. So let's
And
simplify.
also, this is what happens if you allow them to just tell all your relatives. Don't do that. Okay? You control the pace. Okay, tell first all the bonds, live bonds, still bonds, and then born and died. You mark one by one. You have to control them. They'll keep going. Bring them back.
So let's draw one by one. As I told you, we have a couple and they
Drink some water. Why are you feeling parched?
so couple Mr.
Mm.
Mr. Y and Mrs. X, they have a children. Firstborn is Ram. He is a pro band, so he has a global developmental delay and he is 5-year-old. And Sham is a brother. So next is Mrs. X has a 2 healthy siblings, I told. So she has one brother and a sister. Both of them are married and non-consanguineously, and both of them have a 2 kids, healthy kids. So Mrs. X parents are also non-consanguineous couple, and Ram's maternal grandmother has a sister who is married and then have a 2 healthy kids. So now coming to Ram's maternal grandfather. So grandfather has a brother. He's married and he has a healthy son. And this is their parents.
So that one you did not give in that story, no? Okay, that is backstory. While taking the pedigree, that came.
So now coming to Mr. Y side. He has a brother. He's married and has a healthy son. And his mother has a brother who has a healthy son. And these are their parents. And Mr. Y's father has a sister who has got 2 healthy kids. And this is their parents. So this is how
Don't
we
trail
draw.
off, ma. All right. So although it appears very overwhelming at the first sight, if you construct it from this couple who have come with their child, okay, it is a reasonably well constructed and clear pedigree. One thing that you should remember is when we take pedigree in South India, no, we will have sometimes 10 siblings, and then on this side 20 siblings like that, and they would have been married consanguineously. Let me take the now. Let's suppose that this is consanguineous marriage, and this lady and this man are siblings. Then they become consanguineous, isn't it? Okay. And we are talking about a autosomal recessive disease. We want to know whether others are not. Okay. And this man has got 9 siblings, 10 siblings. He has come from outside. He has married this lady. Okay. Don't go too much into this and waste your time. These are all siblings, let's say. This. Whether their children have married again, we have to see that. Understood?
Yes, sir.
That means we are looking for mating within the same genetic pool and whether any other person is affected, trying to understand that.
Yes.
Understood? If it's one or two, okay, manageable means okay, you take that and then you finish it off for completion's sake. Hmm.
So this is the first generation, and this is the second generation, and this will be the third generation. Also, the important point is, so when you draw a pedigree, it is important to note the date of the pedigree, date and informant details and who has drawn the pedigree. Those details also has to be included in the pedigree chart.
We'll stop here for a moment and take this point in. Without this, I see a lot of pedigree charts not of any use. Okay. Pedigree belongs to who? When was it taken? Because it can get updated. And more importantly, who was taken? That information should be there.
Yes. So now let's move on to the pattern of inheritance. The first one that we'll talk about is an autosomal dominant inheritance. So autosomal, these mutant alleles are located on the autosomes. A single copy of disease associated mutation is enough to cause the disease. So it will be in the heterozygous state and there'll be a vertical transmission. So 50% chance of dominant trait being transmitted to the offsprings from the affected parent. So both males and females are equally affected in autosomal dominant. And there can be a variable expression. Like the clinical features can vary from individual to individual. For example, in the case of autosomal dominant polycystic kidney disease, one individual might develop an early end-stage renal disease, whereas another individual can have a few renal cysts with a preserved renal function. So let's see how these alleles are segregated in an autosomal dominant inheritance. So here is an affected parent and a normal parent. So capital D indicates that it's a mutant allele which is dominant, whereas small d is a normal allele. So since it's dominant, this D pairing up with this D will cause a disease. So this offspring will be affected. Similarly, this D pairing up with this T also will have an affected offspring. And a small d, which is a normal mute allele, and here it's a normal allele, will produce a normal offspring, and similarly here also. So there is 1 in 2 chance, that is 50% affected in case of autosomal dominant inheritance. So this is a pedigree showing autosomal dominant inheritance. If you see this, so almost every generation has an affected individual. And both males or females are affected equally. So let's start from this generation. So here the female is affected. So she is transmitting disease to her son, daughter as well as son. And this daughter is married to a male, normal male, and they have transmitted disease to the male, that is her son, as well as daughter. Similarly, here he is transmitting the disease to his son as well as daughter. So, if you see, there is male to male transmission also in case of autosomal dominant inheritance. And again, this guy is married to a normal female, and they are transmitting disease to the two of the daughters. So, there is always a 50% chance of transmitting disease. But what happened to this? Why is ideally speaking, like what we have told, so this couple also should transmit the disease to their offsprings, right? So why is it not happening here? Any characteristic feature of autosomal dominant inheritance which explains such pedigree?
Louder. We should hear. Expressivity. Any other answer? Expressivity on the chat box. Penetrance is the answer. Okay. So penetrance means gene is there. Disease may or may not show up. Expressivity is disease shows up, but the symptoms and signs and the organs that are being affected will vary between two people carrying the same gene mutation. Understood?
So this is because of the non-penetrance.
Yeah, non-penetrance, incomplete penetrance.
So we'll see a case of autosomal dominant inheritance. So there is a 35-year-old female. This is gravida 4, para 1, live 1, abortion 1. So her firstborn was in 2019 at 39 weeks, born out of cesarean due to maternal acetabular fracture. Baby is doing good. So next is the termination of pregnancy in 2022 at 21 weeks because the fetus showed fetus was positive for osteogenesis imperfecta type 1, and then she had an early miscarriage, and the present pregnancy is also affected. She gives history of recurrent fracture, and her family history uh, showed that there is an history of osteogenesis imperfecta. So this is a pedigree where the mother is affected with osteogenesis imperfecta and has an healthy kid, and one termination due to the same disease, and one early miscarriage and the affected present pregnancy. She gives history of a sister having osteogenesis imperfecta or multiple history of multiple fracture, and sister's son as well. So this indicates an autosomal dominant inheritance. So she is transmitting her disease to the son, and here the our mother is transmitting the disease to her offspring.
Now, hold on. Why is it not a X-linked disease? Hold on. Look at that and tell me. We don't know the sex here. Okay. This is a male that is got the disease and they are getting it from their mother. So why is it not a X-linked disease? Hmm. So the female is showing the disease. Therefore, it's not a X-linked recessive disease. That much we can say. Okay. Understood. So do you know X-linked dominant diseases?
disease.
In which the male will be always affected. No. We have a case. The only problem in that particular disease is that the males never see the light of the day, or either they are gone as embryos or immediately in the infancy, newborn period itself, they'll die because the disease is so severe. Understood?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, proceed. Okay, go back. So now in this particular case, we know the mutation and we know it's dominant disease, no? How do you explain two daughters affected, but the parents are not affected? So that means something is missing here. What might be missing? Let's see in the answer here. Grandmother has to be tested. That is right. So the grandmother needs to be tested, but history-wise, you are not able to pick her up because you might have asked this same expression of the disease, whereas she may have a subtle expression. Okay, the severity may be different. Yes.
Yes. Now let's move on to autosomal recessive inheritance. Here the variant allele will be in the homozygous state. Males and females are equally likely to be affected. Parents are usually asymptomatic carriers, and the recurrence risk for each sibling of the proband is 1 in 4, that is 25%. So let's see how the alleles are segregated in autosomal recessive inheritance. So here is a carrier father and a carrier mother. A capital R indicates a normal allele, and R is a small r is a recessive one. So this R pairs up with this R to produce a normal offspring, whereas this R pairs up with this small r to produce a carrier. Similarly, R and capital R are carrier, and small r is giving rise to an affected individual. So here there is 1 in 4 chance of the offsprings getting affected, that is out of 4, that 25% chance, and 1 in 2 of having 50% of chance of having carrier, and again 25% of chance having an unaffected individual. So this is a pedigree, 4-generation pedigree showing autosomal recessive inheritance. So here if we see, there are 2 siblings in the 3rd generation who are affected, and their parents are found to be carriers. So for this to happen, can they be a carrier? So their parents should be a carrier for her to be a carrier.
At least one of them.
At least one of them should be a carrier. And what happens here? This female is married to a normal partner, and can any one of them be affected here? Why? Okay, can they be a carrier?
Yes.
They can be a carrier. So this is autosomal recessive inheritance pattern is mostly seen in the consanguineous marriages. So not all generation will be affected here. There'll be a skip in the generation, and sometimes it's also known as an horizontal transmission. So let's come to a case where gravida 3 paravan live had come to us for the first trimester scan. And this case was recently discussed, and their first live born was diagnosed to have a methylmalonic aciduria. And the family history revealed that we also did a parental carrier testing in this couple and found out to be a carrier status for the same mutation. So this is a pedigree. So here is an affected child with methylmalonyl aciduria. So when we tested the couple, they are found to be a carriers, and they both are for 3rd-degree consanguineous marriage. Okay. So for both of, since she is a carrier, they should be, either of their parents should be a carrier in this. And since he is a carrier, he is, how are they related? He is her maternal uncle. So since he is a carrier, again in this couple also, either one of them should be a carrier. And these both are coming from the same couple. So one of them should be a carrier for them to be carrier. So that is how it's getting transmitted here. Since both of them are carrier, there is 25% chance of the offspring getting affected.
Okay, let's look at the possible scenarios. All right, so this is consanguineous. Okay, therefore, this is autosomal recessive proven. Therefore, these two are going to be obligate carriers. Okay, they have to be carriers because two are affected, let's say. Then these two coming from the same parents. Okay, none of them have disease in this generation. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Therefore, the obligatory role is not there here. Even if one of them is a carrier, all of their children can get the carrier gene, the affected gene, and yet be normal. and this lady's child also gets from her, and she is a carrier, and then this generation gets affected. Okay, so the obligatory carrier status ends here in this generation. Even it's not required here. Obligatory, both parents being carrier. Understood? Now it's only, hold on, let me erase all that. Now it needs to be, one of them is a carrier, and that one can be traced from anywhere. So, for example, even though they are married consanguineously, this man could have got it from his father, who is not at all related to this bunch. He is coming from an outsider. He introduces a carrier gene, and then that gets distributed here and then affected. Understood?
Yes.
If suppose you find the same disease somewhere here, okay, in one of these offsprings, then you can be sure that this is the common starting point. Get it?
Yes.
Proceed. You have to spend some time
Mm.
after taking the pedigree and use the logic and the laws of segregation.
So coming to X-linked recessive inheritance, so it is a trait, this trait is one determined by a gene carried on the X chromosome and usually manifests in males. So male with a variant allele on his single X chromosome is said to be hemizygous for that allele. The gene responsible is transmitted from an affected man through all his daughters. Any of his daughter's sons has a 50% chance of inheriting it. So this is known as diagonal or Knight's move pattern. So it's never from father to son. So if you see here, the father is affected and mother is normal. So mutant allele will pair up with the normal allele from the mother to produce a carrier daughter. So all this X gene is transferred to the daughters. So their daughters will be carriers.
Obligate carriers.
Obligate carriers. Whereas the son will get X from his mother. So that is why affected father can never transmit disease to their sons.
So, when there is a X-linked disease in a couple, if it's in the father, they're okay. If it's in the mother, only then for us I'm telling. It is here to test or not, all those things will come.
Yes.
Understood?
So now we'll see a scenario where father is normal and mother is a carrier. So what will happen if a father is normal? Can he transmit disease to his son?
Father is normal.
Father is normal. So, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Uh, so this X and a carrier mother's normal allele will give rise to a normal daughter, whereas another X from the of normal father and a recessive allele will give rise to a carrier daughter, and there will be a 25% chance of having a normal son, and whereas this Y from the father and a recessive allele from the mother will give rise to an affected son.
Hold on. Yeah. So when the mother is a X-linked disease carrier, then problems can happen, especially if it's a son. Okay. If it's a daughter, problems will not happen for that particular individual. Okay. Yeah.
So each son has a 1 in 2 chance of being affected. 1 in 2 chance of being affected, and each daughter has 1 in 2 chance of being a carrier. So one normal daughter and the other one is carrier, obligate carrier. So now this is a X-linked recessive pedigree. So in first generation, the male is affected, that is father is affected. What are you expecting in the second generation? Sons and daughters.
No, that means no offspring will be an affected offspring.
Affected offspring. Yeah. sons will not be affected and daughters are the obligate carriers. And now this carrier, this female, a carrier female is married to a normal man. Now what will you expect in the third generation for this couple?
Affected males and carrier relatives.
Okay, all males are affected, all sons are affected? Mm. Okay. Yeah. So here if we see one out of two sons, one son is affected and a daughter is a carrier. And when she is married to a normal partner, they'll produce a affected son. This is a case of a Duchenne's muscular dystrophy where a father's elder brother as well as cousins are affected. So let's see their pedigree. So this is a couple who came to us, and her husband's brother is affected with Duchenne's.
Hmm.
Her husband's brother is affected with Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. Okay, so where does the problem lies here? Whether is it the father is affected or mother? Mother is affected or carrier. Okay, mother.
You only flipped, man.
Mother is carrier. So mother is carrier, hence he is affected. So then when we go to the next generation, then where does the problem lies, father or mother?
Grandfather or grandmother?
Grandfather or grandmother? See, we told that she is a carrier. She can be a carrier. Grandfather, if grandfather is a carrier, and this is an X-linked recessive.
How it will be grandfather?
So this is an X-linked and she is carrier. How did she get this carrier status? What should happen here for her to be a carrier here? So if he can't
Yeah,
get
the online people also, no? They'll also answer. Okay. Any answers for this? Grandmother? Proceed.
since she is a carrier, okay, this guy will not be affected because if this is an X-linked, so he can't be affected, and this carrier will only come when the grandmother is a carrier.
So
Only
we
when-
can, yeah. Now, my question is, based on this pedigree, can you say that definitely this grandmother is carrier? See, think and tell me. Yes or no? Siddesh, grandma or grandpa should be carrier? No, we already know the disease, no? Duchenne grandpa, he is still alive. Okay, Siddesh. Based on this, can we put the blame on the grandmother? She's definitely a carrier or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Both the daughters are carriers and grandsons are.
Very good. So the answer lies in this extended tree. If you see, this mother gave rise to begot one affected son. Her sister also got one affected son. Okay. In this case, then she is also carrier, two carrier daughters. One can be de novo. If it's just one, then de novo can happen in DMD. But if two of them, sisters, are having, then something is happening. Another way to confirm is if they have brothers who had got affected, for example, this guy is affected, then also she is an obligate carrier. Hmm.
So this is another case, same Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So if we see in this pedigree, this mother's brother is an affected individual and is tested positive also for Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, and he is a and this when we see this couple, if he is affected, then what should be the possibility? What is the possibility of their parents getting affected? Mother will be an obligate carrier, and whereas the father will be normal. So if she is a carrier, then what can happen here? I mean,
No. Her mother may be a carrier, but need not be a carrier, because we know in about 1/3 of Duchenne's, the mothers get it as a de novo. Now, what happens is, if you get one of these brothers affected, okay, that is why here when you take, for example, these people have come, they are in their, let's say, 20s. This boy died at 14 years, let's say. Understood? She has come, my brother has died at 14 years. She is now 24, like that. These people would be 48, 50. Okay? They may or may not have told about a died Thai Maman, brother, uncle. So you need to either ask them, they may not be aware, or you need to call this lady and ask, has any of your brothers died, born to your mother? Okay. So that extra step will actually solve the problems.
so coming to X-linked dominant inheritance, here the affected males with normal mates have no affected sons and no normal daughters. There we saw in X-linked recessive it will be a carrier daughters, where here daughters are affected. So both males and female offspring of female carriers have a 1 in 2 50% risk of inheriting the phenotype. An affected male transmits the trait to his daughters but not to his sons. So that is why affected females are approximately twice as common as affected males, but they have a milder expression of the phenotype. So here, if you see, father is unaffected and mother is affected. So they'll produce one allele from here, and the normal allele from the mother will give rise to an unaffected son, whereas X from the father and the dominant X from the mother will give rise to an affected daughter. Similarly, X from the dominant X from the mother and Y from the father will give rise to an affected son, and the normal alleles from both the parents will give rise to an unaffected daughter. So this is when the mother is affected. So now let's see when the father is affected. Affected father is not transmitting disease to his son because he is giving his X only to his daughters. So daughters are, and since one X is coming from the father, which is an affected, the dominant allele, both the daughters are affected here. So this is a pedigree showing X-linked dominant inheritance. The father is affected, so all his daughters are affected, whereas he's not transmitting any disease to his son. And this affected daughter is married to a normal man, so she is giving rise to an affected son as well as affected daughter. Again, this guy is giving rise to his daughters are affected and sons are not affected.
No, I think we should stop here. It's already 9 o'clock. Is there a way to differentiate X-linked dominant and autosomal dominant by pedigree? That is one exercise all of you should do and come. Asked by Guhaprita. Then go up. There's one more question. While can we comment on penetrance or versus expressivity in pedigree chart based on the phenotypic expression alone? So you have taken a history, they say it's not affected. No?
Mm.
So it depends on the disease. In some diseases, say for example, polycystic kidney disease, when you are taking the history, that person may be totally asymptomatic clinically. So if you take history, they may not know. You may have to go and do the scan and find out. So it depends on the disease whether the expression is a clinical expression or a investigation that may express very much later. Say for example, achondroplasia, autosomal dominant, you will know from birth or just after birth. So it depends on the disease. So you must have, say for example, that day we had a question of whether whole torum was there or not in the parents. So you have to make the parents undergo echocardiography to look for ASD, small ASD. So it depends on the disease. So therefore you should have an idea about what are all the manifestations in the disease and how to know and pick them up, whether by just questioning or by investigating. Okay.
So do all autosomal disease by whom show incomplete penetrance and variable expressivity?
Not all. Most of them will show, no, I mean, most of the cases we know what is their penetrance. Okay. What is the example I told now? Achondroplasia. Nearly 100% penetrance and nearly 100%, very low variability in expression. So some of them are there. Some of them are known for low penetrance and highly variable expressivity. For example, 22q11 is known for its low penetrance, not low penetrance, incomplete penetrance. Okay, so this one, you guys do it. Differentiate X-linked dominant and autosomal dominant by pedigree. Okay, it's a nice question, Gohaprita. Let's put it out as an exercise. All of you do a diagram and then put it in the group as to what is the answer. But even if somebody has posted, you post, don't look at that. We'll stop here. It's already 9 o'clock. We'll meet on Thursday.
So one
Tomorrow
last
tomorrow is that rehearsal presentations are there. So we'll meet tomorrow.